What up, it's Prime Pete. With the acquisition of Call of Duty by Microsoft and the farewell of Bobby Kotick, the CEO of Activision, it's definitely leaving a lot of us with questions regarding the future of Call of Duty, especially that of whether or not the game's biggest and most complained about flaws will be rectified to aid the success of the upcoming Modern Warfare 3, which without question has to be the saving grace of COD, or else the franchise has essentially doomed itself, with the unfortunate but deserved letdown that was Modern Warfare 2, the overhyped and underperforming sequel to Modern Warfare 2019. These flaws, which if you're a regular viewer of mine, you know what they are, but to jog your memory, they're a combination of things like Sbmm, EOMM, terrible map design, restrictive movement, and a lack of a more expansive skill gap, some suspicious hit detection and ping, among other things. But what I've just named are the most concerning problems with the franchise currently. With this all being said, I've got some good news. While this isn't proven, and showing a picture can get me instantly copyright claimed and fined, what I can say is that I've heard through the grapevine, and by the grapevine I mean viewers on my live stream and a couple videos, is that apparently emails are being sent between Phil Spencer and the directors of Call of Duty. And if you don't know who Phil Spencer is, he's the new acting CEO of Activision after Microsoft's acquisition. But allegedly, these emails are Phil Spencer saying that there has to be a rework to skill-based matchmaking because Modern Warfare 3 is going to lose players and already has lost players because of how intense it was in the early playtest. Now, this guy either played himself and realized how crazy the problem was, or he just watched any COD YouTuber on the platform complain about it, because the fact skill-based matchmaking was way too strong was a universally agreed upon fact about the Modern Warfare 3 early playtest. And literally any credible COD YouTuber that has an ounce of sense has made the same claim, along with the thousands of comments I've seen agreeing with them. Skill-based matchmaking was the biggest problem I saw with Modern Warfare 3. With the skill gap returning, I could have called this a mile away, and I should have called it publicly because I would have been able to rub it into everyone's faces. But seeing as Cold War actually had decent movement and gunplay paired with actually decent maps that were reflective of classic COD, it's no wonder that the skill-based matchmaking is cranked up to 1000% in that release as well. I've stated numerous times that the correlation between the skill gap and the strength of the game's skill-based matchmaking is directly correlated. The higher the skill ceiling, the more intense the skill-based matchmaking. And I know that for a fact. For example, a game like Modern Warfare 2019 did not have Sbmm that was that strong. And I know that is a pretty bold claim, but as someone with top 1% stats in that game, I should have been matched against the best of the best players, but I clearly and evidently wasn't, as my experience playing that game was pretty positive, considering I only played shoot the ship, gunfight, and search. But there was one thing that Modern Warfare 2019 did that was absolutely awful, and that was having a horrible meta with 1,000 ways for bad trash players to get cheap one-shot kills, like the 725 shotgun and the other fire shotguns that could kill from a mile away, claymores, bouncing betties, and of course, doors. Also, the oversized and overcomplicated maps were for the most part pretty awful. The worst players had so many aspects of the game going for them that the lobbies could pretty easily be mixed, and the skill-based matchmaking didn't really have to be that dialed in. Even as a top 1% player, I was still getting absolutely decimated by all of the things I just mentioned, and it's not like those things take skill, which is why I say the overall skill gap of Modern Warfare 2019 was not that large, because although you had your movement kings and the guys who could aim like nobody's business, that skill curve was more or less invalidated by the fact that a camper could just one-tap anyone like that in the blink of an eye. Long story short, the game had the weirdest and stupidest skill gap. You could either reach peak performance by actually being good, or you could abuse one of 100 dumb, cheap, easy ways to get kills and absolutely effortlessly have great stats that way. I digress. Modern Warfare 3 introduced a skill gap with less ways than ever to get cheap kills, a raised time to kill, very well designed maps seeing as they're just all remasters of a good game, and the improvement to the movement. But this all being said, now the skill gap is absolutely there, and the skill ceiling is undoubtedly the highest it's ever been in a few years, if not the highest it's ever been, period. Aim, game sense, and movement is king. You really can't abuse stupid ways to get kills, at least in the early playtests you couldn't. And having such a skill ceiling, the skill-based matchmaking is undoubtedly going to be more dialed up than it ever has been before, because of its proportional relationship to the skill ceiling. They both increase at the exact same rate. But this formula isn't all that it's cracked up to be. On the one hand, we have Activision thinking this is effective because evening out the playing field in every match is a pretty surefire way to make sure every game is fair and everyone has fun, right? Well, actually, that's 100% wrong. It's kind of like socialism. No matter how good you are, your performance in your matches won't change because you're just playing in a lobby where everyone has near equal skill to you, according to the algorithm's decision. If you're terrible, you'll just play other terrible people, 1 KD. If you're average, you'll play other average people, 1 KD. If you're more serious and pretty good, you'll just play others like that, 1 KD. If you're among the best, you're just gonna play with people who are also among the best, 1 KD. Everyone performs the same regardless of their skill level, and that's not very fair, is it? This is the problem with skill-based matchmaking that is far too strong. It has its use, but it's only to keep the horrible players from getting steamrolled by the great players. That is its only acceptable use in very, very specific scenarios. Making matches as balanced as humanly possible ruins the whole skill element of the game because your true skill can't really show. The lobbies are far too engineered to be a genuine test of you against whoever you match against. And not to mention, it completely destroys your ping, because instead of matching by connection, it matches based on skill, which is annoying in another multitude of ways. But think about it this way: even if you're an average player, you're going to kill and die in relatively a 1-to-1 ratio. Nobody wants that consistently. And you might say engagement optimized matchmaking is the solution. And for those of you who aren't aware, that's basically saying if you have a bad game, then you're going to have a good game, and then after that, you're going to have another bad game, and then another good game, and it basically breeds this cycle of inconsistency in your matches that keep you aggravated, then happy, then aggravated, then happy, and it can get really annoying and addictive after a while if you're not careful. But that inconsistency, once you're aware of it, can be even more insufferable. Turning down Sbmm doesn't only affect and benefit the best players, it really benefits everybody, even the worst players, because if you're at the bottom 10%, you're probably aware of it, and you know the only way you can go is up. And I think that's a pretty fair thing to allow your worst players to get bodied enough to the point where they adapt and become better at the game. They're figuring it out, according to this leaked message. So hearing about an email that suggests a rework of skill-based matchmaking because, believe it or not, they've reasoned out that the game will in fact lose players because it's too strong is a really exciting thing to hear. It means they're waking up to the fact that nobody actually likes it. They're realizing that the skill-based matchmaking in Modern Warfare 3 could easily be the game's Achilles heel and kill it off and cause a spread of negativity about the game before it can even get its feet off the ground. It's the most common complaint about both early playtests, and at this point, it's no secret. I don't know what a rework could exactly entail, but I reckon in some sense we'll just tune it down to include a bigger scope of players that could be considered for each lobby, which not only will improve the player experience as a whole, but it will also probably include a drastic improvement to the average ping across all of your matches. I'm really excited to see how this unfolds, and if on launch day the game really feels different in regards to this mechanic. There's not much else I can speculate or infer about this leaked email, mainly because we don't 100% know if it's true, and we also don't know exactly what will be done regarding skill-based matchmaking if it is, but one can only hope. One thing it does do though is acknowledge its existence, which no COD developer has ever done before, which is huge. It was pretty obvious, but now it's definitely confirmed that they're aware of it if the email leak is 100% true and reliable. But again, we can only hope for the best and speculate what's going to happen come release day. That's all I got though. If you agree, drop a like and subscribe. Take it easy.